Carnival is one of the most popular cruise lines on the planet, with literally millions of passengers sailing each year. And whether you've sailed the cruise line dozens of times or you were about to go on your first trip, there are some tips that you just have to know to make your cruise even better. Here are my favorites for sailing Carnival right now. One tip is by far the simplest way to save you money on Carnival, and that's to book any packages ahead of time. Specifically, I'm talking about things like the Cheers drink package and the Wi-Fi packages. Like most cruise lines, Carnival, they offer a discount for booking through your online account ahead of time versus waiting until you're on the ship to purchase. Take the drink package. It's $60 a day if you book ahead of time, but $65 a day on the ship. On a one-week cruise, that adds up to about $35 in savings. But surprisingly, many people don't take advantage of this. A rival cruise company said recently that only about 60% of their guests book some onboard activities ahead of the cruise. This is essentially free money. Wondering why that slot machine in the Carnival casino says "see attendant" when you try to cash out? It's something that I personally had to learn the hard way and hope that you don't have to waste your time like I did. At the machines in the casino, you can insert your room key card to track your play. But what they don't make clear is that when you cash out, the money goes onto your room key card, not a typical cash out voucher that you might be used to. So if you try and cash out but don't have your card inserted, then you have to wait for the attendant to come and pay you by hand. Personally, I wish that they just use the voucher system like every other casino on the planet. But even putting your balance on the card is still better than having to wait to be paid out by hand every time that you change machines. I will be the first to admit that during the course of a cruise, I get tired of the buffet. That's why I love that Carnival has a lot of different restaurant options included with your fare. But for breakfast, your choices are more limited. There, the buffet is still king. But if you want something a little bit different to eat, check out the Blue Iguana Cantina. Many people don't realize that in the mornings they serve breakfast burritos with bacon, eggs, and cheese, all wrapped up in a warm tortilla. It's fantastic if you've had a late night in the evening before, and it is way less crowded than dealing with a busy buffet. In my view, I think you can actually think of Carnival as two different cruise lines. The fleet, it currently runs about 24 ships, and most of those offer a very similar experience. But there's a big disparity between most of the fleet and the newest Excel class ships like Mardi Gras and Celebration. These ships, they still have the Carnival feel, that they are fun and it's laid back. But apart from that, I find them to be very different. For one, they are much larger. They also carry more people, have more to do, see, and eat, and have shows that are unlike anything else on the fleet. So if you have sailed Carnival, but you haven't sailed these ships, then it may as well be taking a trip on another cruise line. If you buy the drink package, then you don't really care about the price of beer. It's already included for you. But if you were paying out of pocket, then you should know where to find the cheapest beer on the ship. In this case, don't head to a bar, but instead head to the buffet. There, you will find beer stations that are completely automated. What you do, you swipe your card, and then you pull the handle and you pay by the ounce that you pour. Best of all, it's the least expensive beer that I found, coming in at around 45 cents an ounce, or around $5.50 for a 12-ounce pour. Now, I will say that the machines, they seem to be turned off or malfunctioning way too often for my taste, so be warned. What I will never understand about a cruise, not just Carnival, is just how hard it is to get a drink of water. Sure, you can get it out of the tap in the bathroom, but that just seems weird to me. And that means that you have to head to a bar or a restaurant just to get a drink. Carnival, however, they make it really easy for you. You can pre-order bottles of water that are delivered to your cabin before you even arrive. It's about $10 for a 12-pack of regular size bottles, or about $20 for 8 1.5-liter bottles. So yeah, it is a few bucks that you have to spend, but this gives you drinking water in your cabin instead of having to go out hunting down a drink when you wake up thirsty in the middle of the night. And while you can just bring on beverages of your own, they have to be in cans or cartons, which is notoriously hard for finding drinking water. Speaking of bringing beverages, it's a good tip to know the rules and to take advantage on Carnival. Specifically, the cruise line, they allow you to bring a dozen unopened cans or cartons that are 12 ounces or less. So a 12 pack of cans of soda is a good example of what you can bring. But bottles of water, juice, or soda, they aren't allowed. Take advantage of what the cruise line does let you bring on. On the ship, a can of soda is about $3, so a 12 pack is worth almost $40 on board. As well, bringing your own makes sure that you can have access to your favorite brands. Considering that Carnival serves Pepsi products, Coke drinkers especially will want to take advantage of this tip. On many Carnival ships, there's a special group of cabins known as the Havana Rooms. For those that don't know, it's a special area on board that's decorated differently with special decor. But the real kicker is that the Havana area comes with an exclusive outdoor spot that features a pool and or hot tubs depending on your ship. Make no doubt, these rooms, they are more expensive. Often you'll find an interior Havana room for the price of a regular balcony cabin. But when the main pools are jam-packed and you have your own little oasis without the huge crowds, you'll likely think it's worth that extra cost. Many cruise lines, they have little clues to help you get around the ship. For instance, on Norwegian Cruise Line, arrows or fish, they face the way forward on the carpet to help you know which way you are going. On Carnival, it's nothing that clear. However, to help you navigate around the ship, cabins on one side of the ship are odd numbered, and on the other, they are evenly numbered. So when you are in the stairwell heading back to your cabin, both sides of the ship will look practically identical. Following the signs for even or odd can get you on the correct side of the ship and back to your cabin faster. Faster to the Fun is a program from Carnival where you pay extra and you get a number of perks that are normally reserved for the high status passengers like the Diamond or the Platinum passengers. I'm talking about things like priority boarding, access to your cabin, dedicated guest services line, priority tendering, and more. My tip? Save your money. The price will vary depending on your specific trip, but it can run anywhere from $60 per cabin to $130 per cabin. And while the perks are nice, are they really worth the money? Take priority boarding. For most people, staggered boarding and online check-in ahead of time means you show up and you're on the ship in a matter of minutes. And priority tendering, you may not even have a tender to port, making the benefit not even used in some cases. Dedicated guest services is nice, but to be honest, most people will use this benefit at most once, if at all. I'd say save the money. $130 is more than enough to buy you a nice dinner in the steakhouse for two instead of spending it on Faster to the Fun. One thing that I'm actually a bit sad to have to tell you that's a must-have tip is that you've got to bring your phone with you around the ship. It used to be that a cruise ship, it was the perfect place to disconnect. Now, you need to have that phone with you. For one, the daily ship schedule, it's all on the phone, the Carnival app now. You can go to the guest services to get a printout, but it's not delivered to your cabin stateroom anymore. For dinner, you're often asked to make reservations through the phone app, and you're alerted when your table is ready, again, via the phone. And when you're eating, you can still get a paper menu if you request it, but now you have a QR code to scan on the table to bring up the menu on your phone, so don't leave it in the cabin. Before you go, I need your help. I am one person. Thousands of people will watch this video, and many have their own tips for sailing Carnival. In that case, leave your best tips in the comments below to help your other passengers on their cruise. And as always, there's lots more about Carnival and everything cruising over at Cruzely.com. And until next time, happy sailing.